Nitaomba mniruhusie radhi nizungumze kwa Kiingereza ili tuwafikie wengi wenzetu barani Afrika kote, sio sisi tu ambao tuko ukumbini kwa wakati huu. To Mr. President of the Tanganyika Law Society, Mr. Boniface Anyisile Mwabukusi, Madam Vice President and members of the Council of TLS, Madam Chief Executive Officer, I recognize the presence of at least 5 past presidents of TLS. I think it is a real mark of honor to see that high number of leadership still coming to support the profession and support the current leadership. I recognize the presence of many past members of the TLS Council, many of whom have also served in the leadership of the East Africa Law Society, the leadership of the Southern African Development Community Lawyers Association, SADC, and so on. I recognize you. I also recognize the presence of the veteran, immediate former Chief Executive of Tanganyika Law Society. All protocols observed. Mr. President, and the meeting from Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. I bring you also the greetings and solidarity of the PALU Vice President for Eastern Africa, Mr. Moise Mkundabarash. They all send their greetings and solidarity. Mr. President, we are living through a time of profound change and profound challenges across the entire world. And let me hasten to add, there are challenges, but there are also opportunities. We are living through a period of democratic regression in our region, in our continent, across the world. We're living through a period of the rise of the far-right parties and political persuasions in many parts of the global north, in Europe, in North America, with an anti-immigration, a racist stance. We're living through a period of serious conflict the Horn of Africa, our own Great Lakes region. We're living through a period where the most powerful are challenging the very notion of an international rule of law and even a national rule of law. So it's a period of many challenges. In this region and in this country, we're living through some very serious challenges, which the president of TLS has spoken about. And Mr. President, and on the matter of our professional colleague, Tundu Lissu advocate, as you may know, the region has followed and continues to follow Tanzania. What we have seen has made people question whether you really have a judiciary in this country. It is very sad that the Honorable the Chief Justice is not here in person, because I would have told him that in person, that he needs to repair the image of the judiciary of the United Republic of Tanzania. Ladies and gentlemen, despite these challenges, we are also living at a time of opportunity. especially for those of us coming from behind on matters of technology, there are vast opportunities in using artificial intelligence to build our countries, build our economy, build our rule of law, build our legal profession, build our law firms. There are opportunities in this period of challenge to vastly increase intra-African trade. So citizens, through their associational life, have a role in fostering this world that we want to see, confronting frontally the challenges that we face, but also boosting the opportunities that are there. Citizens, through their associational life, have a role in creating the world that we want to live in and the world that we want to leave to our children and to our children's children. These citizens and their associational life includes associations of professionals and includes associations of lawyers, such as what we're celebrating today with TLS. To step back for a moment, especially in the context of the strategic plan that you're about to launch, what do lawyers' associations exist to do? The traditional role of a lawyers' association, whether a national level lawyers' association, regional level, continental or international, or even a provincial lawyers' association, the traditional role of a lawyers' association are three: regulation, representation, and public interest. Regulation. It is the role of the lawyers' association, a term we use generically so it covers both bar association and law society. It is the role of a lawyers' association to regulate its members, to set standards for pre-entry education, for admission to the bar, to set and enforce practice standards, rules, and discipline. That is the regulatory role of a bar association. Representation of the profession, which we sometimes call the trade union function. Presenting the profession to government, to the public, to the global legal community, and also getting benefits for members. And then third, the public interest, contributing to development, political development, economic development, social development, cultural development, administration of justice, the just rule of law, constitutionalism, democracy, good governance, protection and promotion of human and people's rights, and access to justice. At supranational level, this includes also promoting people-centered regional integration and rights-based globalization. So this is our role as Lawyers Association, whether at the national or international level. Mr. President, I've taken the opportunity to look at, in draft, the strategic plan. And indeed, I note that it has all these elements. It talks of protecting the independence. Vast regulation to ensure that we regulate ourselves and we retain self-regulation, because if we don't regulate ourselves properly, others will come to regulate us. I always remind lawyers that independence of the profession is not a right given to lawyers who are being lawyers. It is a privilege given to us by the public through Parliament for the public's good. And what the public through Parliament can take away if we misuse it. So it is the public that has given us the professional privilege so that we can serve them without fear or favor. So we must make sure we protect it. But protecting the independence of members beyond regulation also means protecting members under attack for doing their work. Representing the profession requires building a positive image of lawyers in society. Representation and regulation also requires facilitating members' practices, facilitating issues such as the facilities which they practice in courts, in registries, be it business registries, land registries, intellectual property registries, and so on, building libraries, providing directories, providing publications like journals, magazines, and so on, providing continuing professional education for members, conferences, seminars, and so on. And also, as the President has very correctly said, facilitating the social, having lunches, dinners, cocktails, sporting events, even dances, and so on. And also providing facilities for specific members, sections of the profession, young lawyers, female lawyers, and so on. So all these are the roles of the Law Society. Let's spend a moment talking about public interest initiatives that different lawyers' associations have deployed at different times. These has included the Lawyers Association directly drafting constitutions, drafting bills, drafting policies, drafting motions, even drafting parliamentary questions. It has included engaging in legal sector reform, especially sector-wide reform initiatives that bring together the judiciary, the Attorney General, the DPP, the police, the prisons, and other important players in the administration of justice sector. Lawyers have engaged in public legal education, civic education, constitutional education, voter education, gender education, and so on. Lawyers have served on boards, commissions, tribunals, fact-finding commissions, inquiry commissions, and so on. It has included representing the state. So the Lawyers Association can actually represent the state in national litigation or even international litigation. And Mr. President, I hasten to add, you kept on using the word msaada when referring to subventions that you may receive from different parts of the government. I think we should look for a better word than msaada. When you're doing public work, you are entitled to draw from the public exchequer. You are entitled to draw from the taxpayer to do the taxpayer's work. So it is not msaada. It is provision for doing public work, just like other public agencies or private agencies may be commissioned to do public work. So make no apologies about it. Actually, make demands about it. Lawyers have engaged in private litigation to assist the public: constitutional education, constitutional litigation, human rights litigation, rule of law litigation, environmental litigation, anti-corruption litigation, and so on. Lawyers have even engaged in private criminal prosecutions when the public prosecution service is failing the public. Lawyers have engaged in trial observation, election observation, fact-finding missions, and so on. And when appropriate, lawyers have also run for public office, if that is what required to move our people forward. I'd like to give just one or two examples from the region and from the continent. And I'll start at the north. In the period 2011-2012, following the events sometimes referred to as the North African uprisings, Tunisia fell into chaos. A head of state abdicated, jumped into a small plane, and flew away without a handover. And the country went into chaos. And 4 civil society organizations held the country together: the National Law Society, the National Federation, the National Private Sector Federation, and the National Trade Union Confederation. Meaning, in other words, law, rights, capital, and labor. They formed something called a quartet. They negotiated with different parts of the country to maintain peace and order. They drafted purely by non-political actors. They got the country to accept the constitution. They superintended the first elections under that new constitution. They won the Nobel Peace Prize for it. I want us to reflect on that for the moment. The Law Society, working with the private sector, the trade unions, and human rights NGOs, wrote the constitution for the country, adopted it, and helped midwife elections under it. The country still faces challenges, but it shows you what a law society can do if it puts its mind to it. Next door in Kenya, 30 years ago, when the Kenyans were yearning for a new constitution, during the time of His Excellency Daniel Toroitich arap Moi, at what point Moi approached the public and said, "You think constitutions are like cooking maize, cooking ugali? We require very serious experts coming from abroad." So it fell upon the Law Society and the lawyers to prove to the public that they could write a constitution. So the Law Society and a couple of NGOs went and wrote a model constitution called Katiba Tuitakayo and translated it into Kiswahili and translated into a number of the local languages to show, one, to demonstrate that within the local legal profession and other professionals exists enough capacity to draft a modern, appropriate constitution for the country, and also to provide a tool with which to go around the villages, the towns and cities, giving civic education and engaging in dialogue with the public around the kind of constitution they want. That was Katiba Tuitakayo. When they pushed Mzee Moi for a few more years and he still refused to give them a constitution, they came up with something known as the Ufunguzi initiative. So they got the faith-based leaders, Christians, Muslims, Hindu, and so on, to provide overall leadership and to bring together a broad-based section of professionals, of the private sector, of traders, of civil society, and so on. And they decided that they will write their own constitution. And they would meet at one of the complexes owned by the National Christian Council of Kenya called Ufunguzi Hall, hence the Ufunguzi initiative. So they began their own process of writing a people's constitution. President Moi then, using the powers allowed to him and Parliament, formed his own constitution-making process, the Constitution of Kenya Review Commission. So we ended up having two parallel processes going on. One, created by Parliament, therefore having legality, but no legitimacy. The others, created by the people themselves, led by their religious leader, having legitimacy, even though it had no legality. And when matters came to a head, and Moi felt that he was losing, because the legitimacy gap was so big, he went to Hong Kong and fished out a respected professor of law, Yashpal Gai, who had taught in Dar es Salaam, taught in Nairobi, and for very long had been out there in the world. So he was respected by everyone. And he asked Yashpal Gai to come and head his commission that had legality without legitimacy. Yashpal agreed to come on one condition, that he would be allowed to negotiate with all Kenyans. So he then negotiated a merger of these two commissions, Review Commission led by Yashpal Gai, which after some ups and downs, as you know, is what led to the Constitution of Kenya 2010. So as lawyers, we can challenge ourselves to do better for what our country may need at any point in time, what our region may need at any point in time, what our continent may need at any point in time, and what our world needs. To do all this in a systematic manner, at the same time, regulation, representation, public interest, including daring public interest, requires a strategic plan. A strategic plan developed in a participatory manner with the members, written by the members, and most importantly, owned by the members. and one that is reviewed, monitored, and evaluated regularly at opportunities such as this. Mr. President, because I've had an opportunity to look at the full strategic plan and also as a summary, I'm glad to say that I see all these elements there. I therefore congratulate you and your council and your secretariat and your chapters and your members for developing this very beautiful document at this dynamic time in our lives. And I wish you the very best in implementing it. And as you have asked, we of the Pan-African Lawyers Union will explore amongst ourselves to see how best to help kwa hali na mali katika utekelezaji. One element that you have put there, and that's the element I'll finish with, is the importance of international trade and also international collaborations. At any point that TLS has faced great difficulties, I'm glad to say, I know for a fact ELS has been there to assist and support, PALU has been there to assist and support, our other colleagues from the Commonwealth Lawyers Association and even the International Bar Association from time to time. So it is very important for members and for you individual TLS members to associate actively with your colleagues from across the region, across the continent and beyond. Network, please. In this networking, you are likely to get business, prospective partnerships, prospective business associates. You're likely to build your capacity. We are likely to learn best practices for individuals, for law firms, for bar associations and law societies. And we are likely to build the solidarity we need so that when we are under attack or when we need help, the help will come. On that note, I take this opportunity to invite you to the next annual conference of the Pan-African Lawyers Union, which will be held in Cairo, in Egypt, in the last week of August, from Monday 31st August to Thursday 4th September. Please come and join us, meet and commune with your fellow colleagues, and we generate the solidarity that we all need. Mr. President, I thank you for allowing me to share with you perspectives from PALU, and I wish you very fruitful deliberations for the rest of this week and weekend, and good luck in implementing your ambitious and comprehensive strategic plan. Asante.